Welcome to my Cisco Scaling Networks lab review. Here we're doing our lab 8312, our skills integration. This is the last lab in chapter 8. So a few things, I have the diagrams off my screen, and we're looking at specifically requirements. So we're setting up the EIGRP for IPv4. Here are the appropriate loopbacks. Here's the information it wants us to use. All right, so for simplicity, I'm going to do most of my configuration in Notepad, and then I will copy it to the routers that I need. All right, so first, enable configure terminal. I'm going to be setting up my router EIGRP. We're using the AS number 1 as outlined here. Underneath there, we are going to be doing our passive interface. Default, that will turn all interfaces to passive interfaces. I don't want a passive interface on serial 000. Right now, we're doing one network, 172.31.0.0. Again, I have this diagram off the table. I'm just kind of working my way down through this. I'm not doing any auto summarization. And so configure the serial interface between R1, R2, and the edge to send hello packets every 10 seconds. So we want to use the default method to only allow EIGRP updates. That's what we just did here. All right, so now that we've done that, we need to configure hello timers. All right, so I want to be looking at interface serial 000. We're doing an IP hello interval EIGRP 1. We want it every 10 seconds. So people may ask, well, how did I get this address right here? All I did was I did the math ahead of time, and I auto-summarized it. I didn't have this summarize it, I summarized it. And so this network summarized to 172.31.0.0 with a /23. So the next part is to summarize the addresses. So I did my IP summary address EIGRP AS number 1, my appropriate summarized address with subnet. So I completed that. Should only have 4 routes in the routing table with the default route. That's being done on the edge, propagated. So we're only going down to here because we're just doing IPv4 portions right now. And for my basic configuration for R1, I should be done. I'm going to hop over to R1, paste the configuration in, enable, config T. Let's try this again. Config T, router EIGRP, setting up the appropriate interfaces. It did not like my summarized address because I put smart summary And there we go. So let's go ahead and fix that typo. So R1 is now set up. I'm going to modify this so that it meets the needs for R2. We still need that, we still need that, we still need router EIGRP, except here we're using serial interface 1. Our summarized addresses is going to be 10. Again, no auto summary. We're just dealing with R2. We're still doing our hello interval EIGRP1. We're going to summarize these guys right here. To 10, 10, 0, 0 with a /21, 255, 255, 254, sorry, 248.0. Try to do my math in my head. And that should be the end for router 2. So this is kind of why I was using Notepad, so I can quickly do my configuration and then just kind of change what's changed. Paste it in there. All right. Looks like R2 is completely finished. And we've done all of those steps. So I'm going to scroll down. Oh, I take that back. We're not quite finished. We have to make sure we've done all the stuff for IPv4 Edge. So we don't have to reset up the IGRP. Here it has two passive interfaces. Sorry, it has two non-passive interfaces. Both serial 000 and serial 0001. We're going to have to fix some of the addressing, and that's okay. It's going to ask what networks we need. We're going to need two network statements. One network statement for 172.31.6.0. This guy right here with the appropriate wildcard mask. Then we're going to have our 10 network, again, with the appropriate wildcard mask. 10, 10, 8.0, 0.0.0.3. No auto summary, so that part's good. We also need to set up our default route, so IP route 0000 space 0.0.0.0. And we're doing this out serial 010. All right, so we need to go ahead and up here before we exit, I'm going to move our default route up because I actually want to, in our router EIGRP, do the route redistribution. So redistribute static. So this will redistribute this route. So, but if we don't do it beforehand, then it won't be up there. All right, so we have our hello timers for both serial 000. We don't have to worry about the summaries addresses at this point. So go through it one more time to make sure I've hit everything. And I believe this is it for our edge. Paste that guy in there. Two new adjacencies formed. Our default route gave the error because of the interface, which that's okay. And we are good with IPv4 now. I'm going to scroll down so we can look at the IPv6 portion. That's this right here. And take a second, read through it so that we know what we're going to have to configure. All right, so assignments, setting up the AS numbers, setting up the router IDs. All right, so what I'm going to do is IPv6. I'm going to set up Unicast Routing first. We're going to be doing IPv6, EIGRP. We're doing router EIGRP. Number 1. We need to set up EIGRP, our router ID. I'm setting up our edge router first because I just happened to be the first one that I was there. No shutdown, making sure it's turned on. I'm going to exit it. Then I need to set up it on both interfaces. So interface serial 000, interface serial 001, IPv6, EIGRP 1. I'm going to exit at the end of both interfaces. And going through the instructions, configure a directly attached default route to propagate our updates. So IPv6 route :/0. Double check what interface it has to go out of. Here we're again going out serial 010. We have to redistribute it in our router EIGRP. So redistribute IBUT REDISTR IBUT static. Okay. And that is actually all we needed for our edge router. Copy it, get into our edge, paste it in there. All right, edge is done. So let's go ahead and reset this up for router 3. Router 3, we're going to be doing router ID 3. We don't have a redistribute static route. We don't have a static route. And we may not be using those interfaces. So read through this and verify. Oh, but notice we have loopbacks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 loopbacks plus a serial 0 interface. So int loopback. That's why I like doing this in Notepad, because I can copy and paste way easier. We know we're going to have 4 of them. Loopback 0, 1, 2, 3. We enabled EIGRP on all of them. We set up our router ID. We're going to have to do our summarized addresses. So on R3, this is going to fall under our serial 0 interface, IPv6, summary address, EIGRP 1. looking at these guys right here in the R3 category, I summarized it to 2001 colon DB8 colon 1 colon 1 colon A 000 double colon 70. I'm going to assume you can do the math for our summaries addresses. I'm not going through that. Several past videos have gone through it, so I'm pretty sure we're good with our summarized addresses now. So I didn't feel the need of having to do that. All right, R3 should be done. Let's go ahead and copy and paste our configuration in there. All right, so one thing it did not like was our summarized address, IPv6. Oh, that's because I misspelled summary. All right, there we go. R3 is taken care of. Now let's hop over to R4. R4's ID is 4.4.4. Again, Unicast Routing has to be there. Router EIGRP has to be there. Our summarized address is going to be different. And maybe our loopbacks. All right, so we've did our router ID. Here we have loopbacks 8, 9, 10, and 11. 8, 9, 10, and 11. All of them are part of EIGRP. Here we're using serial 1 instead of serial 0. Again, I'm going to leave that blank for a second before I can do my math. All right, now that I did my math, I got 2001 DB8 colon 1 colon 1 colon BB80 double colon with a slash 74. Again, you should be able to do the math at that point. And R4 is taken care of. Go through it, make sure there is no errors, and there wasn't. And that completes this lab. We did almost all of it in under 20 minutes using Notepad. I had a lot of people that took half an hour, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour to do this because they typed all the commands individually in each device instead of taking the Notepad approach. So I'm going to check results to verify. All right, assessment items. All right, it looks like everything was hit. I don't see any red check marks. This is actually one of the harder labs, but if you get used to being able to put things in and out of Notepad when you're doing the repetitive configuration, this gets way faster. Oh, you know what? We did not do the last step. Last step is to verify. So it wants us to hop on the IPv6 edge router. It wants us to do a show IPv6 route so that we can see if our route is being redistributed via a static route. And we should see 2 of our EIGRP routes being summarized. There we go. So yeah, this is a little bit more complex lab, not super hard, but it's about spending your time going through the material. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.